So what are the main factors that demonstrate the East-West divide in Europe?
Well, I believe the East-West divide is exists more at the level of perception. So in order for the countries of Western Europe to exhibit solidarity with the newcomers to the European club, they also have to be perceived as making progress along the indicators of democracy, state building, and economic performance. And the perception right now is that they are not. And the general perception of democratic backsliding, which is not necessarily at the level that it exists in the EU. So if you were to ask me how does this manifest in reality, we can stress that de facto there is the East-West divide can be perceived along these two centers, and in the EU you can see it in the coalition formation patterns between the core countries of the EU and the countries of the East, and then you can see it in terms of relating to these countries. One of the examples that we can look at is the way that traditional members of the EU are also looking at connecting the withdrawal of EU funds with the rule of law. So I wouldn't say that the difference is outstanding within the EU, because they are all equal partners of the same club, but there is a perception of a difference that makes de facto the EU to be right now a two-speed Europe.
Okay. What are the informal, unquantifiable elements of the process of democratization that are important to understand?
Well, in building, in doing state building, and we also have to remember that the countries of Central and Eastern Europe are just so young. They're just 30 years since these countries are building democracy. So doing state building, there is a possibility that the existence of these informal norms and practices and elite competition with the effects of democratic institution can have a negative effect on the general outcome. So the negotiation of elites with the with the Western understanding, the liberal understanding of what democracy is just something that we can quantify through network analysis, through access to different surveys of how these laws are perceived, and also the most important thing I think is to actually discuss with the agents of change and prove or disprove whether there was a weakness of political agency in building democracy in these countries.
Okay. And where do you see the future of democratization in the region going?
Well, tonight everyone thought that I'm very optimistic, when in fact, and by not seeing or looking at these things as a democratic backslide, when in fact what I'm saying is that it's simply too early to tell. That these are democracies that are consolidating, that there are ebbs and flows in building democracy, that some are doing much worse than was initially expected of them, and some have overcome the initial announcements that they will fail into authoritarian rule, such as Romania or Bulgaria, and they are all now members of the European Union. But of course, they are perceived as troublemakers, and this will continue to be rather a competition with the effects of legal liberal order, and this is gonna take a while.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.